Hello, everyone. I want to ask you a question. Have you ever found yourself in a moment of disparity where you've maybe said something you shouldn't have said or made a mistake and you really wish you could take it back? I think as humans, we've often find ourselves in these experiences where maybe out of nervousness or just overall not thinking something through, we make a mistake or say something that isn't necessarily coming out the way you meant it to. This is the essence of cancel culture, except it includes your life being ruined forever based off of this small mistake that you really didn't even mean to say or make in the first place. Not only does this happen for people who make mistakes, it happens to people who may have said something without knowing the full background or knowing how harmful it could actually be. And on top of that, cancel culture also includes instances where people were accused of doing something that really never happened at all, further ruining their career, dismantling their financial ability or livelihood, and just their overall mental health. Can we talk about how alarming and how dangerous that really is? Cancel culture, as a whole, finds something that they don't like about somebody, and they shout and they shout and they shout and they make all this noise online, spreading a narrative, whether it's true or false, to essentially make this person crumble. Overall, we can acknowledge how harmful this really is. Imagine if every single mistake you've ever made in your life was put on a pedestal or just shouted from the rooftops. Do you think a lot of people would view you, those who don't know you, do you think they would view you in the same light as they previously did, just as a regular stranger? Probably not. And I'd say most of us probably wouldn't want all of our past mistakes and things we've overcame to come to surface at any point to potentially harm us. This is a modern day form of public shame, and it's really not okay, nor is it talked about enough. In fact, Madeline Kearns speaks in her article and says that cancel culture is essentially a form of disagreeing with someone and possibly their views and shouting and telling lies and spinning that narrative until nobody likes you at all anymore. This happens to people way more often than you think, and the effects that it causes are seriously damaging. It needs to be brought to light that cancel culture is unethical, and it creates this illusion that we're not allowed to make mistakes or be flawed human beings. In fact, it makes it seem like we should all be perfect and completely unable to learn or grow from past instances. Cancel culture it's honestly brutal. It tears people down. It doesn't allow them to own up to their mistakes. And to be honest, when you think about those who are accused of doing something that they didn't actually do, or a clip is taken and shrunken and it's not showing the full words that were initially spoken, it's completely unfair. Because even in the circumstance, which barely happens, that the internet comes to realize this was taken out of context and it really wasn't meant this way, the then acknowledgement is far less active and far less condemning than the initial hate that this person received for what those thought they said. And often the cancel culture phenomenon is used by those under fake names with no profile picture, no status of who they are. They're sitting behind a black screen and they're saying things about people because they know there's no consequence for what they're doing. So how is it that that same person is then going and condemning a mistake that someone they don't even know is doing? It's completely unethical, and we need to really take the time to think about our own past wrongdoings and our past mistakes. And not only that, think of how we've overcame it. There's probably things that you may have said or thought of or acts you've committed 10, 15 years ago, depending on your age range, that you couldn't dream of doing now. That you look back and you think, oh my gosh, how could I have ever said that? And how could I have ever even believed in that? Now imagine that comes to surface, and now you have thousands of people hating you, coming after your career, trying to ruin your financial status, your job, your career, and also potentially damaging, friendships and relationships that you're in, because people are now viewing you in a way that you don't even associate with. This is so harmful. There's so many instances of it. For example, Toby Young, someone who has been in the public eye, he's a UK author, found himself in a situation where this just goes to show you firsthand how insane cancel culture is. Found himself being canceled a few times throughout his life with his ideology of political views. So, in more recent activity of him being canceled, he goes on to his PayPal account and he realized it's completely suspended. Thinks to himself, wow, that's weird. Why is my account suspended? Goes on, looks through, he reaches out to somebody essentially, and he gets an email back saying that he's in violation of their acceptable use policy. Toby Young finds it very hard to believe that he's done anything, out of line for this violation of acceptable use policy. Goes, reads the whole use policy, sees he has not committed not one single thing. With further research and reaching out and not getting any other answer besides no, you were in violation, he says, I'm going to take it into my own hands and figure out what this is really about. Come to find out that there have been many others with the same political views who are also outspoken and very well known for it that have had their PayPal accounts completely dismantled. Now, how is it that an app who is, used for online public bank transferring can just take away your account because of a viewpoint you stand on? This is not nearly as damaging as some of the other cancel culture effects, but it's just one instance of how something you say or do or believe in can be used against you in ways that are truly unfair. Cancel culture needs to be put to an end. People need to stop participating in the violation and the dismantling of someone else's well-being, their career, their life, their financial status, because it's not okay. And if these people want to do this to others, then maybe they should take a step back and sit and think, wow, have I ever done anything to potentially hurt somebody's feelings, whether it be purposely, which hard to admit it, but sometimes we all as human beings have done that, or out of pure not having the knowledge. There's so many things that these people should take into account before trying to take someone else down. Overall, we need to come together as human beings, and instead of condemning those who make mistakes, help them grow, help them learn from it, because in today's society, there's far more things going on that need to be worked on than trying to individualize and take someone out and just broadcast their mistakes or wrongdoings.